Yeah,
Yes, sir.
okay. So this is in brief what we have to look at when we look for literature. So what is it that we are searching for? So these are the 10 headings I would look at. So very rightly, has this been done before? If we start on particular research, we want to know if this particular thing, what we have done, has been done before or not, or whether we are doing something totally different, very unique or not. And if it has been done before, then we compare our results with those that have been studied already and presented. So that's how the whole sequence of paper will go. So are our results as good as theirs, or better than theirs, worse than theirs? If it is better than theirs or worse than theirs, what is the why is it it's different? So if it is not done, then it becomes a bit of an issue because we don't have a template on which we base our study on. So we have to look for closely related studies and then work on them and then get to that. So we search for literature which is of closely related studies. I'll show you some examples. And I'll be touching upon search engines, keywords to search. Professor Animesh very clearly showed how you go about looking for this, keywords to search. Smart search is something which how do you get the best out of it in a very short time? So what I do, and like I don't know if I'm smart or not, but then like trying to save time. So it's rather than saying smart, probably you can say lazy. Lazy people actually take the shortest way out. So I usually take the shortest way out. That's how it is. And the literature, we look for free paper, full text many times. And what are the avenues to get free literature, free manuscripts? And how do you save the search results, and a couple of things like personal communication and skimming the paper. So this is one of the papers which was given. So it says long-term subjective and objective evaluation of accommodation in pseudophakic patient and its relation to capsular exercise. If the authors of this paper were to go around looking for relevant literature, so you have to pick out these words. So these are what you call as the keywords. We need not look for keywords which are listed in the manuscript. You can just look at the title and pick up the keywords. So these will be the 3 keywords which I picked up, and then I put it into the search engines. I usually use all 3 of them. So the first one is PubMed. So this is a standard search engine which I almost all the time use. Then a plain and simple Google search, and the third one is a Google Scholar. So it can be something else also, but these are 3 things which I use. I'll just show you what are the benefits and advantage and disadvantage of each of those. I'm sure many of these things, many of you know, the youngsters know much more of digital technology than an old man like me. But then what I do is what I'm trying to tell you. Let me see if I still score a point over you guys or not. So PubMed, when I put these 3, the keywords, accommodation, pseudophakia, capsular exercise, it just gave me 2 results, okay? And the one was in 2004, the other one was in 2007. But look at the Google. Google has given 16,600 results. Obviously, 90% of these are not relevant, but there may be some relevant stuff which is not listed in PubMed. And more importantly, there are things like the Medscape, the e-medicine, or something like Retina Today, which are not indexed journals, but still give very good articles, and which once again have references which we work back on. So if it is like TPA, tissue plasminogen activated subretinal hemorrhage, and there could be one article in Retina Today, which is not an indexed journal, but then it will be written by credible authors, experts in the field. And down below, there are again references. You can look at them and search back. So that's something which we can do. So Google search is something which I would always do, even though it can result in a lot of junk, a lot of muck, but it can result in things which may not, the PubMed may not give. Third one is Google Scholar. Yeah, Google Scholar once again gives reasonably good stuff, but then it's not as organized as what you would see in PubMed. So you can always refine these results as well. So here, if we see the PubMed did not give me a relevant article, which the Google Scholar and Google actually, the first article here is by Google. And again, by Google Scholar, once again, this is the article. So what are the authors of this particular paper want to see is they put an intraocular lens and then make a particular size of a capsular access and see if they're able to achieve accommodation, whether the regular intraocular lens, not a multifocal lens, not an accommodative lens, whether it can move or the capsular bag movement will result in some amount of accommodation. That's what they want to see. And this particular research has been done in 2012. It's been published. So this would be a very, very useful article based for the authors to base their subsequent study on. So very easily you can find something which is relevant to what you're going to do and then work your way back on, or work your protocol also on this stuff. So this is the particular study which I mentioned. So it's published in Taiwan Journal of Ophthalmology. As I told you, this particular set of slides tells you that it's not always PubMed which gives you the best results. It can be other things also which give you best results. So what suits our purpose, what is a requirement at that particular point in time is what we look for. Now, other things we can do is like, I'm sure all of you know about this. You can, because 16,600 results, obviously I'm not going to go through with that. My DND would be over, I will be married, I will have children. All that would have happened by the time I go through all the papers. So you need to refine it. So what I would do is, once again, as I mentioned, take the shortest way possible. So I take the latest article. The latest article I expect would have all the references which are dating back. So from the latest article, which contains the most comprehensive references, then I can pick up the references what I want. So here you can set the time. So here you can say that since 2021, so whatever was published in the last 5-6 months. So this is the lazy way out, as I mentioned. Take the latest article and work back. That will be the easiest way. So here, once again, it says like 2021, there is a pseudophakic presbyopic corrections. So there are articles which are probably related to it. And there are many articles on how the IOL accommodates, and their accommodative IOLs work within the bag and the capsular exercise. All this will give a clue as to how my research on the accommodative nature of a regular fixed IOL within a bag is going to take. So these will give me ways of how to take my paper forward. And one of these papers, the first paper, actually gives the ways to measure the capsular exercise, which was one of the things the authors in this particular paper which is given to me also want to do. So they have this digital technology and things like the calipers and whatever different ways of measuring that the size of the rexus. So this way we focus and spend least time to get the best results out of the literature search. Now, all I have done here is remove one word. The previous the search terms were accommodation, pseudophakia, capsular rexus, size. You remove the size, what you get is 6 results. So unnecessary words or play around with the keywords, you'll get much more results or better results, which the size is something which may not be a keyword. So I removed keyword of what you call a size, and you can see that like from 2 results, it became 6 results. So playing around with the keywords and thinking of some keywords which are not listed in a particular literature is what you can like expand the area of the search and the literature which you can get. So as I mentioned, I just removed those capsular size, and here again I get very, very relevant articles to this particular paper. So here it says intraocular lens movement caused by ciliary muscle contraction. So this is what we are looking at. We are looking at accommodation with a pseudophakic, in a pseudophakic patient with a monofocal lens. And here again, you can see stimulus driven versus pilocarpine induced biometric changes in pseudophakic eyes. This once again is relevant to the paper which I want. So playing around with the keywords does give us some more literature which is relevant to us. So all of us have shopped in Amazon, Flipkart. So you look at something and then scroll down. There are other things which are related to the item we want to buy. So similar thing exists in medical literature as well. As you can see here, this is an article on photobiomodulation therapy in age-related macular degeneration. This is what I wanted to search for. So all it shows is just only one paper is there in this particular keywords which I gave. But what you should do is go down. If you go down, there is another column which says similar articles. This once again takes us in the right direction. So all relevant articles, just like how you would want to buy a tab in Amazon and all the tabs are listed in the lower part of the screen. Similarly, in the PubMed also, all the similar articles are listed in the lower part of the screen, and it's easier for us to look at it and pick what we want. And I'm sure all of you are familiar with this particular bar on the side, with which we can refine the way we want to search and spend the least time possible to search as well. So here you can set the time. So you can set the number of years. You can set in the last 5 years, last 10 years, or from time immemorial. So as I mentioned, I usually put it as last 1 year or 2 years or whatever. And then all that, like you can have free full text, and you can, the way it is displayed, it can be in the abstract, it can be full text. And once again, like what type of articles we want. So all that also, you can just click on this, it will display only that particular type of article, which will again refine the way you search. And then there is an advanced tab below, and it seems to give, it kind of opens up a huge Pandora's box. You can very, very beautifully refine it. So in the article type, there are at least about 100 options. So you can click on what particular, as I mentioned, like you start off with a review or a meta-analysis, which gives the review of all the articles published so far. And that will be a starting point with which you can do the literature search. So as I mentioned, article type goes on to nearly about 100. And it also, like you can, there is such refinement which tells if you want studies on humans or studies on animals. All this is available in PubMed. And language, which language the articles are published on, whether it's in males or females, subject, and all that. So you can refine them better. And more, like you can kind of personalize the way you search with PubMed as well. So you create an account, log in, and you can use this My NCBI filters. So the next time you log in, it knows, I know that I want the studies in retina, I want studies in humans, I want studies in this particular whatever, like 50 to 60 years of age. So it kind of refines the search immediately. Once it can apply the filters what I want, which I'd applied earlier, and can help me search as well. So here I have searched for age-related macular degeneration, which resulted in 35,488 results. Obviously, none of us are going to have time to go through 35,488 results. So this is how I take the shortcut. As I mentioned, I want articles published in the last 1 year. Click on meta-analysis and click on review. And the most relevant articles with the more complete literature search are there for us to see. So this, for instance, was published in 2020. All these are in 2020. So I expect all these will have a more complete literature listed in their references, which will help me go through the literature list for my particular article very easily. So now the other thing is, like all of us want full text, but obviously we're not going to read all the full text, but like some relevant articles we want. So PubMed itself gives some free full text, but not all of them. Something like IJO and a few other journals are free, BMC are free. Other thing is this one. So so you can see the number of journals which are free. This is if you're an AOS member, all you have to do is to get a free ONE network account. So if you get an ONE network account, all these journals are free. And excellent journals actually, Ophthalmology, American Journal of Ophthalmology, Survey of Ophthalmology, British Journal of Ophthalmology, all these are free full text articles. So if you're already an AOS member and if you don't have an ONE network account, then you're missing something or other. So despite all this, there are a few journals which you can never get for free. And of course, like all of you are familiar with some Russian sites, which I don't want to go into, but this is the legitimate way of getting the articles. Yes, I always ask my friends. So Dr. Pradeep Sagar and this gentleman is Gershie. Can you hear me? Dr. Soumya?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Yes, sir. My network is a little issue today, sir. So.
Dr. Soumya, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. My
Yes,
network
sir.
is a little issue, sir. That is the problem.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Sir, yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Audible, sir.
Because my headset went off, that's the reason I just want to make sure that I'm audible before I go on with it. Yeah. So you can always ask connected friends, usually those who are in institutions like AIMS or LVP, and they'll be able to send you the articles as well. So how do you store them? So I usually create folders like this, because if it's there all over the place, I don't know where the articles are saved. So I create a folders like this, and that's where all the full text or whatever is downloaded is kept. And the PubMed allows you to save as well. So when you've gone through all the necessary titles, and then I usually click them and then click on abstract. So it gives you the abstract. And I'm sure all of you are aware of this. You can save it directly to the computer or email it to yourself or send it to your friend, however you want. So this way, all this once again goes into the folder as a Word file. So whenever I want, I pull out those files and then look at the literature, what relevant literature I want. Yet another avenue is personal communication. A particular research question may have been answered by another person, but he wouldn't have published it. So this usually comes up once you're a little grown up, you have traveled to meetings around like 10, 15 years of experience. And you know that particular person is working on a particular specialty in a particular niche area. So a personal communication is also serves as a literature, but the thing is like you cannot quote it the way it was. Earlier days, we used to do that, like in communication, in inverted commas, it will be written personal communication. So that's another thing which you can do as well to add to your literature. Very, very niche areas which nobody is working on, only 1 or 2 people in the world are working on. You can communicate with them personally, and it is allowed to put this as personal communication in the literature, in the manuscript what we're writing. So this is the way I minimize the time I spend on going through the papers. So when I'm looking through the literature, like when I want to design a research project, I would usually not read the introduction because I know what the introduction is about. Then I would not usually look at the results in the results section. I'll probably look at the results in the abstract section. What I would focus on is materials and methods. So I would probably tailor my experiment similar to that what was already there, or I would look at what are the differences in how they have done the study, and some amount of discussion as to why the authors think the results they have got is like this, and whether my research should also go the same way or not. So I would not read the paper from A to the last letter, but then like skim it like efficiently by going through these materials methods or some part of the discussion, and results in the abstract section. That will pretty much give us a lot of information as to how we should proceed with our research and which part of this particular paper we can use. So this way you can probably go through a lot more papers much faster. So these are some of my shortcuts. I hope you found them useful. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sorry that my internet was a little issue, sir, so I couldn't hear in between. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, Dr. Samya.
Yes, sir. I said sorry that I was unable to answer because my network was an issue, sir, here. So thank you for that excellent insight into your desk, actually. It felt as if we were sitting next to you and you were doing the search and helping us understand how you actually go through it. Really, really appreciate the effort that you have taken it to make it into a PPT and share it with all of us. Thank you for that wonderful inputs according to how we are supposed to be searching it and going through the article before we actually read the whole thing in detail.